Hello everyone. In the last session, the topic was about introduction to nausea and vomiting, the pathophysiology of nausea and vomiting, which is induced by chemotherapy or chemotherapeutic agents. We have seen different types of chemotherapeutic agents based on their emetogenic potential, that is high, moderate, low, and minimal emetogenic chemotherapeutic agents. Today, in this session, we'll discuss about the chemotherapy induced nausea and vomiting, preventive guidelines, as well as treatment strategies, focusing on the classes and the drugs which are used for the treatment of chemotherapy induced nausea and vomiting. Before going into the preventive strategies and the treatment, we'll see about the four different types of CINV based upon their onset and relation with the chemotherapeutic agents or relation with the chemotherapy. There are four types of chemotherapy induced nausea and vomiting based on their onset. Acute CINV, delayed type, anticipatory, and breakthrough or refractory chemotherapy induced nausea and vomiting. So, acute chemotherapy induced nausea and vomiting is the one which involves the onset of emesis ranging from minutes to hours after chemotherapy administration. So, this acute effect or acute type of CINV usually peaks in 4 to 6 hours after administration. So acute chemotherapy induced nausea and vomiting occurs minutes to several hours after chemotherapy is administered and peaks within 4 to 6 hours. Delayed type of CINV occurs usually after 24 hours of chemotherapy administration. Anticipatory, it is the onset of emesis or nausea and vomiting for the second or the further cycles of chemotherapy if the patient has experienced it previously with the chemotherapy cycle. So we all know that chemotherapy is given in cycles. So in the first cycle, if the person experiences emesis, nausea and vomiting just after chemotherapy, then the person may anticipate, or it is a conditioned response due to previous chemotherapy induced nausea and vomiting, which occurs just before giving the next chemotherapy cycle. So this is the anticipatory type, where the patient anticipates nausea and vomiting. So one can assume that the psychological component drives this anticipatory type of chemotherapy induced nausea and vomiting. And breakthrough or refractory CINV refers to the nausea and vomiting which occurs even after the prophylactic therapy. So it does not respond to the antiemetic agents or other preventive measures which are taken for the chemotherapy induced nausea and vomiting. So here one can assume that breakthrough or refractory chemotherapy induced nausea and vomiting can occur because of other reasons, not by the chemotherapy. So there might be other risk factors, other conditions which are predisposing to the breakthrough type of nausea and vomiting. So these other conditions should be ruled out if there is a breakthrough emesis or breakthrough nausea and vomiting. So the other conditions which can cause nausea and vomiting may be gastrointestinal obstruction and antibiotics, the macrolide type, mainly erythromycin or clarithromycin, may be the reason behind nausea and vomiting, or there might be even other drug which is administered to the patient which might be inducing nausea and vomiting. CNS metastasis, in case of cancers even, if the CNS is involved, there can be emesis. And other conditions like increased calcium levels in the blood, hypercalcemia, and endocrine and other metabolic abnormalities may also cause nausea and vomiting. So these also must be considered or ruled out in the breakthrough emesis. Hypercalcemia, metabolic or endocrine disorders, and other modalities which are used in the treatment, or if there is concomitant administration of other agents or other methods of treatment if they are involved, like the radiotherapy, may also be the reason behind chemotherapy induced nausea and vomiting. So these are the types of CINV. In the previous class, we have seen that the pathophysiology of nausea and vomiting involves various neurotransmitters, including dopamine, serotonin, histamine, and 5-hydroxytryptamine is itself the serotonin, I suppose, neurokinin 1. So there are different neurotransmitters involved in the nausea and vomiting pathway. So based upon the neurotransmitters involved, based upon the receptors involved, the drugs can be given. In acute type of CINV, mostly the serotonin pathways are involved. In delayed and other types, other pathways or alternative pathways are involved. So mostly for the treatment, 5-hydroxytryptamine, 5-HT3 antagonists, serotonin antagonists are used. Apart from that, the treatment guidelines by different associations approve the use of neurokinin 1 antagonists, and there are several miscellaneous agents and other methods which are used for the management or prevention of nausea and vomiting. First, we'll see about the preventive guidelines because prevention is better than cure. So, the preventive guidelines for the CINV, which are given by the NCCN. So there are about 4 to 5 associations which give the guidelines for the treatment or prevention of chemotherapy-induced nausea and vomiting. The National Comprehensive Cancer Network is one among those whose guidelines are extensively followed, which I will be discussing in this session. So the preventive guidelines are as follows. For the acute type of CINV, the antiemetic agents should be given just before chemotherapy. Give antiemetics as prophylaxis. So this prophylaxis may be continued for 24 hours as required. For prevention of delayed type, the same prophylaxis should be continued for 2 to 4 days. And the preventive measures can be applied, or the agents which are to be selected are based upon the emetogenic potential of therapeutic agent which is used. So if it is a high emetogenic agent like platinum coordinating complex, the cisplatin, as a single agent, or a combination of anthracycline with cyclophosphamide, have the high risk for or high emetogenic potentials. So for them, the acute and delayed effects should be prevented in order to avoid the anticipatory CINV. So we have seen anticipatory chemotherapy induced nausea and vomiting occurs when the person had a previous experience of nausea and vomiting with chemotherapy. So if this acute and delayed effects are prevented, so that is only the main strategy for avoiding the anticipatory CINV. So usually for any chemotherapy, mainly if it is an high emetogenic agent which is used, before the chemotherapy and after the chemotherapy, it should be continued for 2 to 4 days. And for breakthrough type, we have discussed rule out other conditions. Rule out other conditions. Example is bowel obstruction, or it may be a CNS metastasis, or any other gastrointestinal infection also can cause nausea and vomiting. So it is important to rule out any other condition in case of breakthrough type of CINV. Apart from the antiemetic use, apart from the pharmacologic treatment, the other agents, other methods or we can say non-pharmacotherapy or behavioral approaches for prevention of emesis include hypnosis with guided imagery, music therapy, acupuncture or acupressure, and other types of relaxation techniques. And if the patient is experiencing dyspepsia, where there is increased acid movement into the esophagus and into the mouth, so this dyspepsia is one of the important conditions for either peptic ulcers or the gastroesophageal reflux disease, or dyspepsia may be induced by even drugs as well. So if the patient is experiencing dyspepsia, along with that the patient may have epigastric pain, burning sensation. So at that time, use H2 receptor antagonist and or proton pump inhibitors. So H2 receptor antagonists such as ranitidine, cimetidine, famotidine, which block the histamine receptors in the gastric mucosa, can help relieve dyspepsia. Apart from that, the proton pump inhibitors can block the H plus ion binding with the Cl minus to produce the HCl. So omeprazole, pantoprazole are some of the examples for proton pump inhibitors, which can be the preferred choice for dyspepsia. Now moving on to the treatment guidelines of the agents which are used. For the chemotherapy induced nausea and vomiting. So these are the NCCN recommended guidelines. The treatment or the treatment strategies. For preventing the acute effects with the high emetogenic drugs, the anti-emetic agents belonging to the class 5-hydroxytryptamine antagonists, 5-hydroxytryptamine receptor antagonist, or 5-HT3RA receptor antagonist is the short form. So under the 5-HT3 receptor antagonist, the agents which are highly effective include ondansetron, granisetron, alonasetron, dolasetron is also one more agent. So these setrons, the agents with suffix etrons are the 5-HT3 receptor antagonists, which block the serotonin pathway and thus prevent the stimulation of vomiting center. So these agents can be used singly or even the palanositron with aprepitant or NK1 receptor antagonist can be one combination. So palanositron with aprepitant may also be used based upon the individual's requirement. Apart from the 5-HT3 receptor antagonists or with these agents, additionally, a steroid, dexamethasone, can be administered. So this is because the dexamethasone, when given in combination with the 5-HT3 receptor antagonist, the effectiveness of these 5-HT3 antagonists increases. So it is only with the combination. This agent is not used alone. So it is given only as a part of combination with other antiemetic agents. So this can be given either IV or as PO. And there is even an off-label recommendation, mostly because of its potential of blocking the dopamine receptor. So the agent is a antipsychotic agent, the second generation antipsychotic, olanzapine. So this is given as a part of combination with these agents, olanzapine. So olanzapine's use is off-label, so that is not standardly recommended, but based upon the assumption, olanzapine has been found effective when given in combination with these agents. And apart from the 5-HT3 antagonists, other antiemetics belonging to the class neurokinin 1 receptor antagonists or substance P receptor antagonists are used. Among this, the drugs include aprepitant, fosaprepitant, and netopitant. So neurokinin 1 is also one of the neurotransmitters which plays a role in the pathophysiology of nausea and vomiting. So these agents bind to that receptor and block the transmission of the nausea and vomiting inducing impulses. So these are the recommended agents for the treatment of nausea and vomiting. And apart from these agents, there are even others which are not having a standard mechanism of action, or the mechanism is probable but it is not clearly known, and in some countries it has been approved, not everywhere it has been approved. So these agents include one synthetic cannabinoid which acts on the opiate receptors, that is Dronabinol. Dronabinol is a synthetic cannabinoid from the cannabis plant. It is synthetically produced. So dronabinol can act on the opiate receptors and the vomiting center may be inhibited. Thus, CINV can be avoided. And finally, in case of the acute type, just before the chemotherapy, and in case of the delayed type, the agent should be given for 2 to 4 days. And for anticipatory chemotherapy, afterwards, PRN or the whenever required regimens can be given. So I will discuss few of the dosage regimens of some drugs. Coming to the ondansetron, which is most commonly used, most effective and commonly used, mainly because of its effectiveness as well as the side effect profile. So mostly only these two side effects with ondansetron, that is orthostatic hypotension, orthostatic